we're straight over to the Champions League coverage. We are slightly behind on time as we had some technical issues. Shout out to Caleb O'Toma for helping us out for that. But today I am joined by Conor Keenan because Lyle Anthony Golding is off doing other affairs. Conor, pleasure to have you here with us.
Excited to be here in front of the mic. I haven't seen you join the stats. I'm trying to invest in the stats.
Was obviously exceptional on his executive producer role last time for Brazil versus Croatia. But Conor, we're just going to quickly run through some team news. Guardiola has confirmed that Kevin De Bruyne and Aymeric Laporte will miss out through illness today. So we have Jack Grealish coming into the side alongside Manuel Akanji at centre half. And then for RB Leipzig, Dani Olmo was ruled out of the squad, and Nkunku, who was a doubt before the game, Marco Rose has not been able to include him into the side. He is only fit enough for the bench. How much of a part do you think that will play today, Conor? I mean, that's a huge, huge loss. We also have Peter Gulaschi, who's out injured as well with long-term ACL. So some big names missing for Leipzig tonight.
I mean, they've sort of got used to Nkunku being out to an extent. He's been out for a good 3 months now. It's encouraging that he's on the bench. We'll see how much of a role he plays, if any at all, really. But the goals have really dried up for Leipzig in the last few weeks, so I'd say if the game is tight or they need a goal in the second half, I'd expect a pretty early cameo from Nkunku.
Certainly has indeed. Obviously, Christopher Nkunku has been out for a while and obviously has that deal agreed to go to Chelsea, but he still has some business to attend to at RB Leipzig at the Red Bull Arena as we just see the players exchange niceties as we run through the lineups here for RB Leipzig. Obviously, as we said, Gulaschi out with that long-term injury. Blasic continues his spot. Normal back four made up of Halstenberg, Vardiol, Orban and Klosterman. Then we have Javert and Leimer making up the midfield. Timo Werner back up against Manchester City for the first time since he was featured for Chelsea. And then Andre Silva makes up the front line.
Yeah, it's a system that Leipzig have used well in the Champions League the last few years, to sort of 4-2-3-1, typical of continental Europe sides. It'll be interesting to see Timo Werner on that left-hand side. Obviously, we've seen him a lot at Chelsea. And as I said moments ago, the goals have dried up for Leipzig recently, so they will rely on their man Timo quite a bit in this game against Manchester City.
Referee today is Serdar Guzboyuk from the Netherlands. Assistant referee is going to be Erwan Zister and Johan Balder. Obviously, VAR in effect as always too. These sides have only met 3 times in the competition. A 6-3 drubbing. Just want to run through the City team there, Conor?
Yeah, Ederson in goal. It's a back four that we expected, really. Walker on the right, Ake playing that left back role with Ruben Diaz back in the squad and Akanji. Gundogan and Rodrigo in the 2 holding roles. Grealish on the left, Bernardo Silva in the 10, Mahrez on the right, and that man Erling Haaland back in Germany, starting up top for Manchester City.
Yeah, Erling Haaland obviously grabbed a couple of goals against Leipzig during his time with Borussia Dortmund, and will be looking to get his first goal against the club in the Manchester City Blue this evening, as we see some quite glamorous tifos at the RB Leipzig end as team huddles come to a close. Always nice to see a few pints around the stadium, Conor Keenan.
Yeah, the City fans seem like they're enjoying themselves. They're sort of getting used to these European trips. These were not what they were used to 10 years ago, but they're becoming a serious force in Europe. Obviously have not won this competition yet. It's the one that has eluded Pep Guardiola in his time. And he has to think that he has a squad, especially with that man Erling Haaland up front, ready to take that next step in Europe and claim that trophy that has eluded them so far.
Seconds away from kickoff here as we await the referee's whistle to get this highly anticipated Champions League clash underway as Manchester City get us going, playing from left to right. As Conor Keenan mentioned, Manchester City have never won the Champions League, and I mean they have fallen short at almost every single hurdle: final, semi-final, quarter-finals, as the ball comes in from Walker and Schlager can clear for RB Leipzig. It's going to be the first foul of the game on Dominik Szoboszlai. Obviously arrived from RB Leipzig parent club RB Salzburg. We get a look at Marco Rose, former Borussia Dortmund manager. He's been doing a pretty reasonable job at RB Leipzig this season, Connor.
Yeah, fourth in the table. It's a hell of a title fight in Germany. They're only 4 points behind Bayern Munich. I'm sure if you offered Leipzig that at the start of the season, at this stage in the season, they would have taken it. It's been a strange year in Germany. Union Berlin all the way up there, joint top with Bayern Munich. But yeah, once Leipzig sort of get over their injury woes, you'd like to think that they could step on the gas a bit and propel themselves up the table.
Yeah, definitely some strange occurrences going on in the Bundesliga, as are most leagues this season. We've seen some strange issues going on in the Premier League with clubs like Liverpool, who we've seen get absolutely demolished last night against Real Madrid. The hoodoo for them continues as Rodri looks to get on the ball here. He's had a wonderful season for Manchester City since he arrived from Atletico Madrid. He has added so much assuredness to that Manchester City midfield, who have missed Fernandinho since he departed, but I mean Rodri has just been an absolute replica in there for Manchester City as Man City just assert some early possession here.
And Rodri's role this evening will be tough. These European away games are not easy.
Haaland just looked to get him behind there. Sorry, Connor.
Yeah, as I was saying, these European away games, it's sort of damage limitation. You don't necessarily have to go out and win the game, just avoid that sort of deficit in the first leg, especially when you're playing against a team like Leipzig away from home. The stadium's rocking. It's going to be an intense atmosphere there, and a guy like Rodri in that holding midfield role will just have a very important role in just calming everything down.
Good pressure here by Emil Forsberg to nip it away from Bernardo Silva. Schlager looks to get it forward into the pad of Szoboszlai, but it's good defending from Rodri. Nice to have Ruben Diaz back from Manchester City today. Pep Guardiola will be pleased. It's a good challenge from Konrad Laimer on Rodri as Leipzig look to come forward. Szoboszlai tries to get it back down the line. Laimer again. Looks like such a solid player. Quick to the heels of Bernardo Silva there, who's usually so fluent on the ball. And I mean, Konrad Laimer was looked at and monitored by several Premier League clubs during the January transfer window, including your club, Manchester United. Conor Keenan.
Yeah, not a lot to start as Andre Silva goes in.
Andre Silva looking to get in behind. Fix it back to Szoboszlai. Has options here in the middle. Timo Werner looking on the edge, but it's a poor pass from Szoboszlai in the end, and Rodri can clear. As Josko Vardiol steps in ahead of Erling Haaland. Halstenberg looks to get the ball in. Grealish can bring it away. Looking to draw a foul perhaps. Now here's Bernardo Silva back to Kyle Walker.
These are the minutes in European games. Andrew, you just got to let the game settle a bit. These first 10 minutes, the crowd's up. The underdogs are snapping at your heels. You just got to sort of dictate the pace of the game, set the pace of the game for the rest of the 90 minutes. And we've seen this team in the past, Manchester City, we've seen them in the Premier League just sort of walk over opponents, completely control games. It's just a question of, do they have that fear factor that they've had in previous years?
Well, I mean, you said it correctly, Conor. It is about that fear factor. Obviously, Manchester City are a mainstay in the Champions League, but they haven't won it, so the intimidation is not really there as such as Kyle Walker just runs the ball out of play.
It's quite a new tie in the Champions League. This I was not your classic Champions League tie. You would say Real Madrid, Liverpool on Tuesday evening was your typical classic tie between two European giants. Leipzig and Manchester City, more of a new football rivalry in this modern football day and age.
Energetic instructions as always from Pep Guardiola on the touchline. Has had to jostle with several complacencies in the Premier League this year and elsewhere in the Carabao Cup too, crashing out of a competition that they usually so often dominate. City have not looked their usually selves this year, but they need to make a huge case for a Champions League run As Gundogan flicks a lovely ball over the corner for Jack Grealish. He's 1v1 here into Mahrez. Good defending in the end by Halstenberg just to force that run away. As Timo Werner looks to get up front, put pressure on Diaz, who's a huge boost for Manchester City to be back today. Here is Rodri. And you mentioned that role of Rodri, Connor. It's going to be a tough ask for him today, but given the way his performance have come across, as he just comes forward here. Bernardo Silva, City probing.
You can already see how much the width for City is going to be important.
Yeah, as we see Walker picking up a very wide position here on our right hand side, as the foul is just given Manchester City's way. Rodri gets on with it rather quickly. Walker goes all the way back to Akanji, who also spent some time in Germany with Borussia Dortmund. Wasn't always the most stellar centre half, but my goodness, he has arrived at Manchester City and put in some stunning performances in the absence of John Stones, Laporte and Diaz. He's looked like he's been there for several years and he's fitted straight into Guardiola's philosophy. Here is Grealish. Huge night for him too in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne, who we believe is out with illness.
It will be interesting to see who slots into that 10 role, Andrew, whether they sort of rotate it between those three men behind Haaland, Mahrez, Grealish, Bernardo Silva, all three guys that could all easily play that number 10 position. Obviously, De Bruyne is such a big part of this team, and missing him this evening will be a big blow.
Yeah, City dominating early on here in terms of possession, but no chances as of yet. The ball down the line to Gundogan, gets it across, and Guardiola is there to deny the cross getting through to Erling Haaland. A raucous Red Bull Arena as we see some fans trying to intimidate the City's usual chanting and usual hustle and bustle. As the ball gets back towards Rodri here. Looks for a switch of play over to Walker. Up against Halstenberg, back towards Bernardo Silva now. Strange setup again for City. I mean, it looks like a back four, but as you can see, it's just those three central defenders and then the wing backs push on.
And you can see how deep Bernardo Silva is sitting as well. Gundogan getting the freedom to roam forward. It's a very fluid system that Guardiola is trying to use this year. Whether it's worked or not is a different question. They lost a few players in January, of course, with Cancelo most notably leaving.
Yeah, City picking up some spaces on the left and right hand side with Grealish and Mahrez respectively, and they've just won a free kick here with the Algerian standing over it. As Leipzig enforce their defensive duties. Some big men in there for City. Gundogan over it too. It's going to be Mahrez to take. It's cleared away rather convincingly by Dominic Szoboszlai, and it's back to Bernardo Silva again. But you can just see a pattern. Complaining here was Konrad Laimer is in like a shot again on Kyle Walker.
That just shows that Leipzig are not going to give City a millisecond on the ball in this first half particularly. We'll see how long this press can continue, but this Leipzig team are not going to roll over for the City team by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to be on their heels from the get-go, as we've seen in the first 9 minutes here.
Yeah, I think it was a sense of commentators' curse there as Manchester City look to just maintain the attack, and it's going to be offside for Szoboszlai, of course. But yeah, I was just going to mention the Manchester City are so good, one of the best teams in the world at maintaining attacks. But yeah, you're right, Connor. They were out like a shot there with Konrad Laimer, and they look like they don't want to let City have too much of the ball and maintain attacks too much. They want to be getting out on that second press quickly. It will be up to City to try and navigate around it, as RB Leipzig have a sturdy defence this year. Obviously, Josko Gvardiol at the centrepiece of that. The experienced Willy Orban there too, who's been club captain for 10 plus seasons now. But Gvardiol in particular, Connor, he enjoyed a quite amazing World Cup campaign with Croatia, and he's been tipped to sign for an astronomical fee for someone across Europeans' top clubs as Manchester City just come forward here through Rodri.
Yeah, you would imagine this could be Guardiola's final Champions League tie as a Leipzig player if they do not progress here.
Grealish does wonderfully well to get the ball into Gundogan, who is the captain today. Into Bernardo Silva. Haaland makes that run again, and that's a couple of times in the opening 10 minutes where Haaland has just darted into that space. 10 minutes gone. You are listening to the Sports Gazette commentary of the Champions League. Obviously, we do apologise again for our hurried start. We did have some technical issues, but you can follow the Sports Gazette on all socials, and we will be continuing our coverage of the Champions League as the competition progresses, as Riyad Mahrez looks to bring it forward here for Manchester City.
I think Leipzig will be more than happy, Andrew, with their start here. City have had a lot of the ball, but they really have not created even half a chance. They haven't really had the ball in the box. Haaland has been a pretty lonely figure up there at the top, and it's just sort of passing between these holding midfielders. They're trying to get the wing-backs involved, but so far so good for Leipzig.
Marco Rose has certainly done his research on Pep Guardiola's side, and he's out on the touchline there barking orders. Didn't enjoy the best time at Borussia Dortmund, where he actually coached Erling Haaland and got the best out of him, but in terms of the team's overall output, as Erling Haaland brings it forward here, and it comes to Kyle Walker. Walker, lovely burst to get past Halstenberg. Dinks it in, and goalkeeper was rather reluctant there to get a touch, and it's going to be a Manchester City corner. Good run down the right hand side there, Connor.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Walker is one of the best right backs in world football and has been for quite some time. And now he brings not only that pace and electricity down that right side, but that experience. He's one of the longest serving members of this Manchester City team, which is important on a night like this in Europe.
Blasic, who is, of course, replacing the long-term injury, ACL, and unfortunate injury to Peter Gulaschi, who has been a mainstay for Leipzig since his arrival from Liverpool. As Mahrez steps over this corner. It's a good ball, it's a good header from Ruben Diaz, but Blasic does well to hold on straight at him in the end. First chance of the game falls to Manchester City.
That's the sort of chance Leipzig will be happy to give up. Well, happy in a sense, but they would rather give these set piece plays up than open play and get Haaland in open space. I think they're confident enough that they've drilled set pieces enough that even if City do win the header like they did there, that the defence will be able to cover it.
Good ball from Timo Werner to get the Swedish Emil Forsberg in behind. He switches it over to Klostermann, spacing over for Leipzig. Ball into Szoboszlai, and he can't get a header on it. Bernardo Silva was tracking him, but that was good play from Leipzig just to cut through the City midfield there.
Encouraging as well, Andrew. This is what Leipzig will want to do: soak up pressure and then hit in the counter-attack, and they have the pace and experience to do this. Timo Werner, this is not his first rodeo in Europe, nor Andre Silva. This Leipzig team have been there, done that. And of course they have beaten Manchester City in this stadium in recent years.
They have indeed. Somewhat of a dead rubber game, as Manchester City had already progressed alongside RB Leipzig. But Leipzig still turned up and got a very, very impressive win at the Red Bull Arena. But, I mean, Connor, just let's get a look at this graphic. We're 15 minutes in, and Manchester City with 74% possession of the ball, and they've made 137 passes to RB Leipzig's 34. They're looking to absolutely strangle the opposition here in these early stages.
And yet I would argue that the happier team in the first 15 minutes has been Leipzig, because just City have had very few chances. You can see how hard this press is, even in their own half. Manchester City, there's at least one, if not two, RB Leipzig players on them at every opportunity.
Yes, 100%. As Man City get back on the ball here. But I think the main worry is, and I'm in full agreement with you, is Mahrez with a lovely turn. No foul from Schlager, says the referee, as Konrad Laimer tries to pick out Timo Werner. But I think the main concern for Leipzig is they're just struggling to keep the ball, Connor. I mean, you just seen it there a second ago. They make 2 or 3 passes, and then it's a long ball from Laimer because of that pressure from City as Grealish comes forward here. Looks to dance into the middle. He gets a little shove from Schlager, and that's going to be a free kick. Potential yellow card as well. That was a promising opportunity. Josko Guardiol with a little nudge on Jack Grealish here. It's a great run, Connor. It's going to be Schlager and a combination of him and Klosterman that brought him down in the end.
A great run, and that's what we're sort of talking about with this fluidity, of this three behind Haaland. Wingers that cut inside, Mahrez from the right, Grealish from the left. Just giving this Leipzig team new challenges to overcome. And this is a free kick in a seriously dangerous area, and they have players that can take them. Mahrez, Gundogan standing over it.
Elite marksmen from set pieces in Ilkay Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez standing over this. About 22 yards from goal. Not so much dead centre, but favours the foot of a left like Riyad Mahrez.
You would have to say this is Mahrez's free kick.
Certainly indeed, Connor, as final discussions between the German and Algerian go on.
I'm sure certain Kevin De Bruyne would want to hit this as well.
Mahrez hits it straight into the wall, rather disappointingly in the end. Look at the press here from Leipzig again, forcing Bernardo Silva into a pretty long hoof up the field. It's worked out and it's fallen its way here to Rodri. Gundogan. Gundogan shifts it over towards Akanji. Good ball down the line for Kyle Walker. Looks to cut it back, and Guardiola needs to get rid of this. Haaland's on his shoulder. Bernardo Silva comes to Rodri from range. Well over in the end. Again, more pressure for Manchester City, but I say it again, Connor, Leipzig just really struggling to keep the ball here. I mean, that's very uncharacteristic from Guardiola's complete panic. Mahrez anticipates it and they give the ball away again.
I was saying that Leipzig would be happy with their start, but they do have to grow into the game at some stage. It's a question of how long can they sustain this pressure from City. As we said, the chances haven't come really as of yet for City, but you have to think with this pressure it will come eventually as Leipzig look to break.
It's going to be offside there, raised up against Andre Silva, who wanted to leave the pass running for Timo Werner, but I think he was interfering with play slightly there. Connor, if you just take a look at it, yeah, Timo Werner gets to flick it on.
This will be frustrating for Marco Rose. The game plan before this game would have been hit City on the counter-attack, and when the easiest thing to stop a counter-attack is one of your players being offside, and that's 2 or 3 times already in the first 18 minutes that we've seen this. So frustrating from his part.
Yeah, they've played straight into Manchester City's hands there. Here is Bernardo Silva. Similar performances in their respective domestic competitions this season for Leipzig and City. City, of course, chasing down Arsenal, and RB Leipzig chasing down the mighty Bayern Munich. But you get the feeling here, as we alluded to earlier on, it is somewhat of a early fixture for Leipzig and Manchester City. It's only the 3rd time that they've ever faced each other. And a win, a draw and a loss, respectively, as Ruben Diaz looks to bring it forward here.
Bernardo Silva playing so deep again. We saw him against Arsenal playing essentially the left-back role. And it's an interesting system that Guardiola has implemented this season with, you can see how deep he is. It seems like almost one of the fullbacks, essentially the left back, once City have the ball, he turns into a centre midfielder, like a holding midfielder alongside Rodri. But Bernardo Silva essentially has a free role here. He's essentially playing the number 10 position, but we saw him back up, all the way back there in centre back, picking the ball up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see from a RB Leipzig operational point of view who picks up Bernardo Silva. Obviously, at the moment, it's the attackers who are up on him, Timo Werner and Szoboszlai, but as Bernardo Silva, as we have seen, he can turn it up a notch and just delve into enemy territory at will. So it'll be then up to Schlager and Konrad Laimer to pick him up. And speaking of Konrad Laimer, he's looked electric in these opening 20 minutes. A couple of early interceptions on Mahrez and Walker in particular. He looks up for this one tonight. You have to imagine Christopher Nkunku, top goal scorer in this fixture with 3 goals. Of course, he got that hat-trick against City at the Etihad, albeit off the back of a 6-3 defeat, as Bernardo Silva looks to just come forward here for Manchester City. Mahrez. But Leipzig have performed so well this season without their star talisman, and I mean, it gives a good impression of what things will be like in the future in the post-Nkunku era, as obviously he has agreed a deal to sign for Chelsea. So they're making a good start to life without him.
Let's just hope that he can do better than the previous Leipzig import to Chelsea, Timo Werner, who is now back at Leipzig.
A lot of players. Of course, we have Naby Keita as well, who signed from RB Leipzig to Liverpool for quite a high fee at the time, and he has not lived up to expectations. Let's hope the same cannot be said for Christopher Nkunku, as Grealish shows some nice feet there, but again, sturdy defensive block from RB Leipzig. Walker gets it into Mahrez, 1v1 with Halstenberg.
With how deep Leipzig are sitting, it's almost Kyle Walker playing a right wing role. It's like a 3 at the back, 2 holding midfielders, and then almost 4 players sitting behind Haaland. Look how high Walker is at the moment in time. Yeah,
bizarre interchange here on the right hand side, and it is always hard, Connor, to kind of summarise as commentators what formation Manchester City are playing with Pep's innovative ways, but we can somehow draw up that they do have the 3 centre halves. Obviously Ake is out on the left hand side, but yeah, you're right, a lot of their purchases coming on the right hand side at the moment. They have that pace with Kyle Walker. Obviously Nathan Ake is not the most creative. Of course, got his first goal in a while for Manchester City against Arsenal in the Cup.
And there's Silva just dropping into that deep role to collect the ball. I would like to see his heat map by the end of the game here. It's going to be pretty hot. But what we're talking about there is just the fluidity of modern football. Formations aren't as rigid as they used to be.
Certainly a lot more flexibility in the modern day football game as Grealish gets on it here and Ake swings it in. Mahrez looks to challenge with Halstenberg, is always going to be favoured to get that, and here's where it's important for Leipzig, just keep the ball, but again they give it away. Really struggling to deal with City's counter press here at the moment. Walker, he has Haaland making a run in the middle. Here is Mahrez.
It'll be interesting to see what Marco Rose does in the second half, if they can keep this 0-0 with, say, 30 minutes on the clock, because Nkunku could revolutionise this Leipzig team.
Walker fizzes it across. Good header from Konrad Laimer. And again, that's just so poor from RB Leipzig. They are certainly playing into Manchester City's tactics here, if you will.
Even the presence of Nkunku on the counter-attack would be so important to this Leipzig team. Obviously, Andre Silva is a fantastic footballer, but not the paciest. Same with Timo Werner. Just that pace in the counter-attack to have Manchester City second-guessing themselves could prove really important in this tie.
Yeah, Christopher Nkunku is not the biggest build, but he is an exceptional hold-up play sort of attacker. He obviously plays in several positions across the front line, and as you can see, Andre Silva and co are really struggling to get an outball here at the moment. But I mean, they're not getting much service in the way of Schlager and Laimer, who have been suspect of some horrible passes here in the opening 25 minutes. As Manchester City continue to dominate, up to 83% possession here at the moment for Manchester City. Not surprising, but given the quality of the opposition and given the home advantage, you would expect a little bit more from RB Leipzig in these opening 25 minutes or so.
But still, encouraging for Leipzig and Rosa. No real chances from open play for City, just that one header from the corner.
Exactly.
The fans are loving it.
Mahrez looks to get in behind here. Suspicions of offside. Flag stays down and then goes up. Just ran it a little bit too much. Halstenberg held his line well.
Yeah, just off. He needs to time his run better there, Mahrez, because he has enough room behind. It's good to see the confidence of the Leipzig fans with the "We're on our way to Istanbul" banner behind the behind the goal of Blasic.
I mean, I would say it's a good spot, Connor, but it's half the size of the stand, really, just stretching across the whole goal line behind the Leipzig net. Yeah, huge confidence. Leipzig have only ever managed to reach the semi-finals of the Champions League during that pandemic-stricken season where we only had one-legged affairs. And some might say it doesn't even count. Here is Gvardiol. Rare spell of possession here for Leipzig, and they've given it away horribly. Schlager, the victim this time. Flicked onto Riyad Mahrez. Stunning finish. Manchester City finally punish RB Leipzig. Another ball given away. 1-2 passing. Riyad Mahrez is in. An emphatic finish. And I mean, that was coming, Conor Keenan.
It was coming, but it's come from a Leipzig mistake, and Rosa will be furious with it. I didn't see who gave the ball away. Was it Schlager? It was Schlager giving the ball away. You cannot give the ball away against a team like this in your own final third. Just sloppy, and after such a good start defensively, as Grealish just slips it in, the little flick onto Mahrez, the back heel by Gundogan. Oh, it's. I mean, this is what this City team will do. It's such a good team. You give them half a sniff at a goal, and they will take it. But Marco Rose will be so disappointed with the manner that Leipzig have conceded this first goal after such a good start defensively.
Yeah, we've just seen the pictures there of Marco Rose, and he is absolutely incandescent. And I mean, the signs were there. RB Leipzig were giving the ball away far too much. Riyad Mahrez gets his third goal in 7 matches in the Champions League campaign, by the way. But Leipzig were giving the ball away far, far too easily. And again, it was Javier Schlager who was the victim, and he put his backline, Willy Orban and Josko Gvardiol, under massive pressure there. But I mean, Connor, you touched on it, as Timo Werner tries to flick it on here for Forsberg. The City win it back again pretty comfortably. But yeah, horrible, horrible error from RB Leipzig. And Connor, you touched on the quality of Manchester City. There's not many else around like him in terms of attacking output, and they made them pay. It was a lovely, lovely little pirouette flick from Gundogan, if you will. Just got it through the legs of Gvardiol, and I mean, it was an emphatic finish from Riyad Mahrez to put Manchester City ahead 27 minutes in. Their early possessional domination has proved dividends here as they get the opening goal, and Leipzig look a bit lost for ways here at the moment. City absolutely passing him to deck. Gundogan looking to drive forward. Forsberg get it back, and he's just going to... This is such a bad ball again from Klosterman, and Walker can breeze into the space. He's 1v1 with Halstenberg. Has Mahrez to the right. Cuts it back. It's going to be a Manchester City corner. Pressure mounting on Leipzig here, Connor.
They haven't settled at all. Leipzig defensively they've been good, but the moment they get the ball, they just give it away. So sloppy on the counter-attack. All they need to do is just calm down. Just take a few moments and just pass the ball about a little bit. Play the easy pass. Just get a little bit of possession. Get City behind the ball and get this crowd with you. But the longer they go in these spells where they just cannot control the ball, it's still 80% possession at this moment in time for Manchester City. It's not sustainable, and it could be a long night if they keep going like this.
Indeed it will. I'm frightening to think that Manchester City are dominating the ball this much without their star man Kevin De Bruyne on the pitch. Of course, he's on the bench tonight. Ball comes in, back post towards Rodri, heads it down. Oh, it's inches from Haaland's boot. Couldn't anticipate it. It's a brilliant header back across the box from Rodri, and Haaland was fractions away from having a tap in.
And we see how important Mahrez is to this team. What a ball to the back post, looping cross. And when it's put into an area like that, you gotta think there's going to be a Manchester City player there to tap it home. Across the 6-yard box, no Leipzig defender near it. Missed opportunity for City to double their lead.
Here is Gvardiol. Panic stations here for RB Leipzig. They look lost for a response, and them early mistakes, they were getting away with them, but they've been punished in emphatic fashion by Manchester City, who take the first strides towards a quarterfinals of a Champions League once again. Still have a long way to go. And in our other game tonight, we have Inter Milan versus FC Porto at the San Siro. Just over half an hour gone there. It's still 0-0 between those sides. Food for thought here for Pep Guardiola.
He never looks happy, does he?
He never looks happy, Connor. Winning, losing, drawing, he always looks perplexed. But he will certainly be happy with his team's opening half an hour here.
Yeah, it's been pretty professional by City so far. As I said, Leipzig have defended well. But City got one opportunity and they took it. And that's what good teams do in Europe, especially away from home. Calm the nerves, get that early goal, sort of calm the crowd down and just settle in the game, and then they can go from here. Because City are the superior team here. There's no one debating that. And they could get a pretty comfortable lead if they put in a good performance and capitalise after this Leipzig start.
Issue here for Jack Grealish, and you don't need to be an expert lip reader to see what he's just said. He just went over on his ankle there a little bit gingerly there, Connor. I think he just goes to make a strong challenge on Klosterman and just kind of loses his bearings a bit and rolls over on his foot. It's always a little nasty one. You've probably had some of them in your time before, have you?
Oh, plenty. It seems like he's holding his right knee though, rather than his ankle. Be interesting to see. It would be nice to see another angle on that, as Bernardo Silva gets an earful from Guardiola. But this is the goal. As I said earlier, Grealish cutting in from the inside and intercepting the ball. What a flick by Gundogan. If we're going to talk about underrated players, I don't like that term underrated, but Gundogan is so important to this Manchester City team. A little backheel through the legs of Mahrez, and he was never going to miss on that left foot.
A bit more of a conservative role for Ilkay Gundogan in Manchester City these days. Obviously, 2 seasons ago he enjoyed a goal-scoring frenzy, and obviously Manchester City had that striker crisis, and he went up top and scored 15-odd goals from that false nine position. He's an exceptional talent. Also spent time in Germany with Borussia Dortmund. And I think, as we just get play back underway here, Connor, I think one of the interesting things about Manchester City, since that announcement and the allegations put towards them for off-the-field accusations, I mean, they've responded brilliantly on the pitch. They've put in some big wins against Arsenal. They've looked focused. They've looked disinterested about what's going off the pitch. And I mean, they're making a really, really good start to their Champions League knockout stage here.
I think you can almost use it as fuel. It's sportsmen or women in any sport like playing with a chip on their shoulder, and City will, and Guardiola will try and capitalise on this and use the allegations, obviously, as a chip on the shoulder of Manchester City and get them playing with the fire that they've sort of lacked this season. This is not the same City team that we've seen in seasons past, and that's no disrespect to this current City team, but the City teams in the last 5 years ago have been some of the best of all time, and certainly in Premier League history.
Certainly. And obviously it's not the first time City have been accused of such allegations, and we'll have to wait and see quite a long time to see how that develops. But at the moment, all the 11 players of Manchester City and the coaching staff can do is get performances on the pitches. Hospital pass from the goalkeeper back to Vardiol there, more pressure. Really, really lucky stuff there from Alstenberg to get it out to Vardiol. And again, I mean, it's just a long ball, miscommunication. You could see Vardiol wanted Andre Silva to go on behind. He comes short and Ake picks it up rather easily indeed. Rodri into Bernardo Silva. Lovely little touch to get away from Schlager, who is not enjoying the best opening 35 minutes here. He's been run ragged. Mahrez just picking up the Bernardo Silva role here, just dropping deep and returning to his normal post.
You have to question how deep is the gas tank for these Leipzig players, because they're pressing so high, and little flicks like that from Bernardo past the first line of the press attack from Leipzig, it's just so demoralising, not only physically but mentally. You're putting all this physical energy into the press, and a player like Silva just flicks it through a presser's legs, and he's past it. So physically and mentally draining for this Leipzig team so far in this first 35 minutes.
Bernardo Silva delving into enemy territory. He just looks to shimmy it back onto his left, gets it out to Jack Grealish, who's in acres of space, shimmies, shoots just over the top. Really good chance again for Manchester City, who are just starting to turn up the pressure here. Really good work again from Bernardo Silva. Managed to stay on his feet and got it out to Grealish, who was, worryingly from a Leipzig point of view, was in acres of space there. Lovely feet from Silva, Connor.
What a touch that is by Silva as he's falling to the ground. It could have been a free kick the referee played on. But as he's falling to the ground, he takes a little touch and keeps the move alive. And he knows Grealish is going to be cutting in on that in from the left-hand side.
Rare foray forward here for RB Leipzig, but again, it's such a poor ball. They had Nico Halstenberg getting forward there. Not a man you want to be seen in attacking position, but Connor, you made a fantastic point just a couple of moments there before the chance. It's the energy that RB Leipzig are exuberating to just even get out of their own box. I mean, you look at Halstenberg and Guardiola there a couple of moments ago. They done a lot of yardage just to get the ball out of play and give it away again. City look like they're playing with such ease. They seem like they're playing at half the input that Leipzig are putting in at the moment here, and it's looking like a very comfortable away performance as we approach the last 10 minutes or so of the half, depending on stoppage time.
And this sort of performance wouldn't be a worry for Leipzig if they didn't give the goal away. I think they've been defensively, they've been excellent the first 36 minutes. This is a really good City team and one that's really dangerous in attack. And as I said at the time, the manner of the goal will really frustrate Marco Rose.
Poor touch there from Haaland as the experienced Willie Orban gets across. It's been an absolute stalwart for RB Leipzig. His longevity just keeps going on and on. Club captain for several years at the club, I beg your pardon. As Riyad Mahrez delays his throw in and gets a straight back from Walker, but it runs all the way through for Vardiol. Schlager with an out ball again, and Walker steps in, and I mean, it's getting quite repetitive at the moment here from RB Leipzig's perspective.
And credit to City. They're not giving Leipzig any chance at all to settle. Anytime they get the ball, there's very few passes available, and City just get the ball back and just smother the attack.
Very hard to criticise Schlager there, who has been poor in these opening exchanges. As the ball goes down the line here to Jack Grealish, 1v1 with Orban. He has Walker in at the back post, options out on the edge. Here's Gundogan. But it is the work off the ball for Manchester City, as well as bad as Leipzig have been in possession. It's harsh to relegate them to the performance that Manchester City are putting in here off the ball. It's a brilliant recovery from Kyle Walker to get that little touch on Schlager's pass that looked to get Timo Werner in behind as Mahrez opens up the space. Timo Werner looks like he's blown for gas out there at the moment. Akanji. Really good switch out to Jack Grealish. Lovely touch. Runs at Klosterman, gets the ball in. It's going to be a Manchester City corner. Prolonged period of possession there for City.
Pep likes what he sees. I think he's quietly confident they could at least threaten getting a second goal before half-time. That would be a huge, huge goal in this tie for Manchester City. It would make their second half a lot easier. But it feels like at Leipzig, even in the 30th minute, are just sort of hanging on at this stage. No goals, no real threat to the Manchester City defence. If they can get to half-time 1-0, I think Rose will be quite happy.
Certainly indeed. Marco Rose will want to get into the ears of a couple of those players as Mahrez whips it in. Header from Rodri towards the back post. Haaland was never going to get there. It's that combination again. And I think every time that ball does come in, Connor, they're not really looking for a shot on target. They are looking to flick it onto the back post, as you see Rodri just help it on.
Yeah, that's twice from Rodri. We can't really tell if that was a shot or a flick on, but we saw from that Mahrez corner earlier that they're just looking to get the ball into this dangerous area around the 6-yard box and hope that one of their poachers is there, especially Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland couldn't get a touch there. It would have been only his 6th touch of the game. He's just had 5 in comparison to Kyle Walker's 43. Goes to show where Manchester City's creativity is coming from. Halstenberg looks to whip it in. It's a poor ball that goes all the way over, and Klosterman's out to retrieve. Hands it straight back to Manchester City, and they are back on the ball once again. Rodri pushes it out here towards Riyad Mahrez. He has the ever-willing Walker in support. Just slows it down a tad, and Rodri picks it back up. always sees an option for Manchester City.
You can see the frustration in the body language for Leipzig now. You can see Forsberg sort of throwing his hands up. The thing with the press that Leipzig are trying to imply here is that everyone has to be on the same wavelength. If one player isn't pressing as hard as the other four, then the press is useless. And we're sort of getting to this stage in the game. They're tired. They're looking for the half-time whistle really with 5 minutes to go. You sort of worry where this Leipzig defence will be in the sort of final 20 minutes or so.
You also have to worry for Marco Rose. It's going to be a very, very complex discussion at halftime. Maybe 15 minutes isn't enough to try overall this quite appalling performance, if we're being honest, in the opening 40 minutes. I think I would agree with Connor that defensively Leipzig have been good, but in possession they have been absolutely diabolical and played right into City's hands as Grealish goes around Halstenberg and asks for a yellow card there. Dominic Szoboszlai looking to increase Leipzig's protestations here, is maybe looking to get away with a yellow there, Connor.
I think so. I think he knows what he's saying. You can see the grab back. That's a clear yellow card. I think that's proof from the referee. And you can see Grealish's frustrations because City had a good attack on there.
Yeah, really good opportunity there for Manchester City again, but Jack Grealish certainly has Klosterman's number this evening. Here is Manuel Akanji. Very, very good account of themselves, Manchester City. They've made a good start to their claim of Champions League glory. Some would say it should have arrived by now, given the financial input towards the squad. Maybe some off-field altercations that have helped them out along the way. Bernardo Silva gets it out towards Nathan Ake. Into Gundogan. Rodri. City just slowing down the pace. And I mean, you look at Leipzig defensively, they're keeping their shape, but I mean, this is cozy time for Manchester City. It's attack versus defence. As cliche as it sounds, it's very much the case here. No pressure on the ball from Leipzig. And you just sense if they give it all and they do press, City will cut them apart and play around them, as Ruben Diaz's ball intended for Gundogan finds Grealish instead. Good ball down the line. Slide route ball into Gundogan. Keeper does well to keep it in for denial of a corner. But again, you just look at the faces here of the RB Leipzig players. They look exhausted, Connor.
Grealish is looking so dangerous on the left-hand side. Klosterman's having a difficult time with him, and as I said a few minutes ago, lucky not to go in the book. I think if he did go in the book, it would have to be Leipzig and Marco Rose looking to make a change. But there we see again. Ball into Timo Werner. He's got a man to his right-hand side and Andre Silva behind him when he gives the ball away. He can't keep hold of the ball, and Leipzig just cannot materialise anything on the attack. And it seems here that they might be lucky to escape a yellow again for Andre Silva.
Yeah, foul there from Andre Silva for a little tug back on Kyle Walker.
Maybe not as malicious as the first thought.
Yeah, looked a little bit soft for a big man of Kyle Walker's stature. He went down rather easily. Schlager looks to get it out here to Timo Werner. Options forward for Leipzig.
Now, can they sustain an attack?
No is your answer, Conor Keenan. Commentator's curse. As you remember during the World Cup with Lyle Anthony goaling, we had so many encounters with the commentator's curse. But yes, as Conor just remarked too, they could not keep the ball once again. It's shocking from RB Leipzig in an attacking sense. And I'm not too sure. I think on 20 minutes, Connor, I want to just ask you again. You said Marco Rose would be happy with his team's performances, and yes, he probably will be happy going into halftime at just 1-0, considering it could be worse. But from an overall perspective, he has to be disappointed.
Disappointed in the manner of the goal, but I think Leipzig have been pretty solid, bar that one mistake. I mean, can you think of any real clear-cut Manchester City chances that they've made from open play? I can't really. Not to sort of beating the same drum, but yeah, just the manner of the goal and the mistake from Schlager that led to it will be really disappointing for Leipzig, because this could be a 0-0 game, and Leipzig would be over the moon with that.
Certainly. I think the compliments are going towards Manchester City and the criticisms are going to RB Leipzig, but it is very much a case of Leipzig just not having any attacking intent. They are defending quite well, but that chance a moment or two ago was their first real chance in an attacking sense, and Timo Werner plays a dismal pass and Manchester City get on the ball. As there is just 1 minute to be added on here. RB Leipzig 0, Manchester City 1 at the Red Bull Arena. You are listening to the Sports Gazette's commentary of the Champions League, and also you can follow us on all social media platforms. As Nathan Ake heads it back into the centre, good drive, good legs from Schlager. Timo Werner was looking to get inside, but that's exceptional defending from Manuel Akanji. Leipzig still on it. Comes to Timo Werner, 1v1, shimmies, shoots, save from Edison. Pretty routine. First shot of the game for RB Leipzig comes 8 seconds over the additional minute as the referee brings a close to what has been a pretty one-sided half. Conor Keenan, RB Leipzig 0, Manchester City 1. That goal from Mahrez, bringing the gauntlet down on RB Leipzig for what has been a very, very dismal possessional show from them. Defensively, they've been okay, but going forward, they have been suspect at best. We will be back for the second half coverage shortly. Thank you very much. Lovely. How the fuck did I get this order? You going for this? Nice one, man. It's good, lad, isn't it? We picked the bad one, lad.
Just saying the same thing over and over again.
Oh, yeah, that's your play. Defend well. To be fair, we don't stats to go off. We don't like talking points or anything. If anyone asks, oh my god. If anyone asks, hey, did Andrew forget the name? No, I just caught out on the stream of it. And the goal coming from. What was it again? You can hear the whisper on the fucking. That's funny, no? Right, we'll go back in about 5 minutes and then just do a quick analysis of the half. 10?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
What do we have to talk about?
Yeah, we have nothing to talk about really. We have to analyse the game, man.
How many people are actually watching it? 1.
That's a good question. We need to check that on YouTube.
2.
Class. You 2 watching? Yes.
2. No one's tweeted it out.
Yeah, I know. Do you want to do it?
Yeah. I asked people to tweet it out, but obviously.
Can you check this?
1 watching. There's literally no one watching that.
Why can't you get this up?
Get what up?
Oh, it's because that thing doesn't work. Oh shit, the fucking scoreboard thing. Why is it? Oh, it's because it's.
Yeah, no, I've done it.
Oh, it's 16 minutes behind, that's why. Oh. Are you enjoying your first comms? No? I quite like it, I just can't keep fucking.
I enjoy this fucking brutal game of football.
It is. I keep muddling my fucking words as well. I just feel like no matter what, this is just good practice for you being on
100%.
camera and not on camera, but
I was sort of chatting.
even doing podcasts.
I was chatting to a guy Chris at Wimbledon, just sort of being like, what opportunities are available. And he sort of mentioned commentary. So if you want me to ask him, I'll happily
please actually.
I'll happily ask like commentary for the youth team or something.
Yeah, 100%. I do need experience. Hello?
Who's that?
Hello? Why can't I hear him? 1 second, Caleb. just slows it down a tad, and Rodri picks it back up. Always sees an option
Nice echo.
for Manchester City. You can see the frustration in the body language.
My mic's not working.
But I feel like the sports sort of throwing his hands up. The thing with the press is that, like,
We're just sack and go home. Fucking me.
Wait, play that again.
I think they're trying to imply here is that everyone has to be in the same wavelength. If one player is pressing as hard as the other four, then it's tired. They're looking for the halftime whistle really 5 minutes to go. You're sort of worried where this fight.
I don't know why that happened.
Am I sitting too close to you?
No. Never ever happened with me in live.
Really?
Yeah, never. I can't fucking mute it, like.
Testing.
Sound like a sentence.
Testing.
Hello, and we are back with live commentary on the Sports Gazette for the Champions League between RB Leipzig and Manchester City. The citizens leading 1-0 at half-time thanks to that Riyad Mahrez goal after what was a pretty appalling first half display from RB Leipzig in a possessional sense. Defensively, they looked quite solid, but they played straight into City's hands and Manchester City punished them as a result. Connor, what did you make of the first half?
Yeah, it was a strange half. I don't think Manchester City were at their best at all, but they just controlled the game. It was just a lack of chances being created, really. The one goal has come about from a Leipzig mistake, and this is what good teams do. They punish teams that make mistakes, and that's exactly what City did through Grealish winning the ball back, Gundogan's beautiful flick to the eventual goal scorer Mahrez. I think Leipzig defensively have been pretty solid, but the moment they get the ball, they just give it away again. They haven't been able to create really any chances. They had one shot at the end of the half, which will be encouraging for them going into half-time. They're looking to hit Manchester City in the counter-attack, and they're failing to do so just because they just cannot seem to keep control of the ball for any meaningful period of time.
Yeah, they're massively struggling, and Marco Rose will have a lot of discussions for some certain individuals at half-time. I think Xavier Schagel in particular gave away the ball for the goal. He had given it away on numerous occasions, and Manchester City failed to punish him, but it was one time too many. In terms of an attacking sense for Manchester City, Connor, who stood out for you the most? I mean, Grealish has been magnificent. Mahrez has been good. Haaland hasn't had a touch, which is quite unsurprising given the way he plays this season. And then Gundogan's looked really well too in that De Bruyne role.
I think the most important player for them so far has been Bernardo Silva. The fact that he drops so deep and is involved in these attacks. Grealish has looked dangerous on the left-hand side, and as we said, this is a City team that's performing well, but Haaland hasn't had a sniff. He really has not had much of an impact in the game at all. And City have options on the bench. Obviously, Phil Foden sitting on the bench. So if they want to try and go for the jugular and sort of wrap up the tie here in the first leg before they go back to Manchester, especially with such a busy schedule ahead of them, they do have options on the bench. But yeah, so far so good. Pep will be very happy. And the thing with Haaland is he's a proper poacher. He doesn't necessarily need to be involved in every attacking sense. All he needs is one opportunity, and he'll more than likely take it.
Yeah, just 7 touches for Erling Haaland in the first half, and it is odd yet intriguing to see how Manchester City can pose such an attacking threat without using their most potent attacking option on the pitch. I mean, as we just take a look at the goal here again, lovely pickup from Grealish. Again, it was such a poor pass from Schlager, and then Gundogan with an absolutely audacious little flick just to get it through the legs of Josko Gvardiol, who was obviously a monster for Croatia in the World Cup, but slightly humble there as Riyad Mahrez put Manchester City 1-0 ahead. Still no score in the other game this evening between Inter Milan and FC Porto. Obviously a huge tie there. Inter Milan will be looking to get to the first quarterfinals of a Champions League knockout rounds for a number of years. But we will be back just before kickoff, as we're just going to see if there's some late substitutions here. We have a couple of, I think John Rahm is out there warming up for RB Leipzig, as we see. Is that Eric Ten Hag in the crowd there, Connor, is it?
I don't think you'd be in the City end, Andrew. So.
Maybe not. We thought we might have had someone on fraud watch there. But yeah, it does look like we were going to just cut to a quick commercial, but we're just going to run through these substitutes. We have...
It's like the fullback Henriks.
Henriks is going to come on. And that must be for Klosterman or Halstenberg, perhaps, Connor, who massively struggled in that first half.
You can see Cuckoo also warming up.
Yeah, so in the first half, Manchester City obviously coming down that right-hand side so much. Walker and Bernardo Silva and Riyad Mahrez interchanging at will. So obviously Marco Rose feels that is an area that he needs to attend to, and Henriks looks like a straight swap for Klosterman. We just need to get confirmation on it. Not too sure who's coming on. Still no sign of Christopher Nkunku. I thought he was heading out to warm up, but he did retreat back to the bench. He looks like his involvement will have to wait until further in the half, if he even makes an appearance. Obviously, he has missed a lot of football for RB Leipzig, so to bring him into this game, against opposition. The quality of Manchester City might be slightly premature. Just await confirmation of that substitute. The players make their way back out onto the Red Bull pitch.
They'll look to try and get Andre Silva involved a lot more here in the second half. Some lone figure up there at the top. Didn't really have the opportunity to affect the game.
Yeah, we've seen David Raum and Mohamed Simikan warming up during the halftime interval. So we just see Schlager and Orban exchanging some words, maybe the captain just getting in his ear at the moment about that mistake laid on in the first half that led to that goal. Manchester City have given a really good account of themselves, and they've made a great start to this Champions League knockout as the City players finally make their way back out onto the field. Looks like no changes for them either. But all we do know from Leipzig's camp is that Benjamin Hendricks will be coming on. Just not too sure who he will be replacing at the moment. You would imagine it would be Klosterman at right back. Did struggle, but also the same could be said for Alstenberg on that left-hand side, who endured a torrid time up against Riyad Mahrez, Walker and co. Not a huge goal for Riyad Mahrez in Manchester City blue in the Champions League. Doesn't score a lot, doesn't score often, scores some huge goals. And yet, just to confirm, Benjamin Henrichs is coming on for Klosterman. As he await the second half to get underway here. Dutch referee seconds away, and RB Leipzig get us back underway for the second half. They will need a huge response if they're going to get anything out of this game. But as Connor has alluded to on several occasions, they still have just the one goal conceded.
Yeah, it was indeed Klosterman coming off for Hendricks. He had a tough time there with Grealish on the left-hand side. It felt like just a matter of time until Grealish did even more damage, cutting inside from that left side.
Certainly a case of damage limitation for Marco Rose, hooking Klosterman for the second half. And I mean, it could have been a number of players who was brought off. I don't think it's fair to single out Klosterman in particular, but see, maybe Kevin Campbell could have been introduced as well for Schlager. He is also an option off the bench. And as we have talked about, it will be interesting to see if Christopher Nkunku gets some minutes under his belt. Good early press here from RB Leipzig, gets it forward to Andres Silva. Kanji does well to draw the foul from Silva. Good bright start for Leipzig. They're going to need to be a lot better in this half than they were in the first. Silly foul from Silva with Kanji really running nowhere.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about with Leipzig. They just let City off the hook the moment they press them. There with such a silly foul from Andre Silva, who's an experienced international footballer and has experience in the Champions League.
Ball forward here up to Erling Haaland. Henrichs gets his first touch of the game into Konrad Leimer. Referee gets in the way. Some defensive work done by him.
And that's probably Leipzig's most sustained period of possession all game. Was
ironically
maybe that
enough.
10 seconds of play there that was stopped by the referee. But already coming out from the halftime interval, a decent sign of where their attitude is.
Yeah, you can already see a little bit more aggression from RB Leipzig. They really need it. Here is Josko Gvardiol. Willie Orban. Haven't seen much of Dominic Szoboszlai. We just see him dropping very deep to try get involved with the play. Schlager gets a ball out here towards Alstenberg. Not the quickest, but he tucks inside from Kyle Walker. Timo Werner 1v1 with a Kanji. Just to put it across, but the big Swiss stands firm. Werner, who was largely irrelevant in that first half, is looking to get a little bit more involved here in the second. Schlager again. Here is Willie Orban. Yeah, you touched on it, Connor. This probably is the longest period of possession that Leipzig have kept the ball for. An astonishing 84% possession for Manchester City at one stage in the first half. With all this possession and all this time on the ball, and as Man City sit in and as Leipzig get more tired and more frustrated on the ball, it might open up a bit more space for Erling Haaland to get in behind.
Potentially, that's the risk that Leipzig sort of have to take at this stage. They'll want to go with at least a draw in the second leg if they want to have a realistic chance of progressing. 1-0 wouldn't be the worst result, but we know what City are like at home in the Champions League. Of course, beating them 6-3 a few seasons ago.
Indeed, a damning day for Leipzig then. Of course, Christopher Nkunku grabbed a hat-trick. He is the top goal scorer in this fixture with three he got in that game alone. But again, such a poor pass there just before we got cut across. Joshua Gvardiol ball out towards Halstenberg was so poor as Erling Haaland looks to get him behind. Really good defending from Gvardiol. It's not often you see Erling Haaland get out-muscled like that. It was a really, really good piece of defensive work after he had initially given it away. Szoboszlai, good tackle from Akanji. Referee says play on. Gundogan's in a good position. Delves into the box. Cuts it back. Mahrez. Could have been two. Grealish stands on the edge. Lovely little bit of feet. And it's going to be a foul out here for RB Leipzig. They got very, very lucky there. Looked like a little bit of a soft tug from Grealish, but danger signs again for RB Leipzig defensively.
Yeah, it feels like the high press is excellent there from Ake winning the ball back. Gundogan always has his eyes up. He's looking for the right pass, and he picks the right pass. It's a good block by Forsberg. I think it was more Forsberg being in the right position as such rather than him diving in front of the shot. But another really good chance there from Manchester City. Certainly one of the best in open play so far this game.
Yeah, whether he intentionally meant it or not, it was a really, really vital block in there for Emil Forsberg to deny Riyad Mahrez a second in this game. Fire that RB Leipzig brought to this second half has somewhat extinguished by Manchester City here in the opening 5 minutes. Walker looks to go along with this throw in. Mahrez goes down and draws the free from Halstenberg. Again, you have to question the silly fouls that Leipzig are giving away too. They're playing right into City's hands, killing the game, attracting long periods without any in-play activity, and it's just playing straight into the away side's agenda here. As Akanji gets it across to Diaz, back out towards Nathan Ake. Ball pulled forward towards Ruben Diaz. Emerson just lets that one run. But I mean, we look at Manchester City and we look at the innumerable amount of cash that they've spent on players. And I mean, you look at this team and you look at Erling Haaland, and he does look like that like-for-like replacement for Sergio Aguero. And he was obviously so prolific for Manchester City, but they couldn't win the Champions League with him. And Riyad Mahrez just gets it on here from Erling Haaland. He has Bernardo Silva in support. Haaland makes his way into the box. Silva 1v1. Lovely little cut back from Silva, and looks to find Mahrez. Just good defending in the end from RB Leipzig to get it away, but Manchester City looking to come forward again, and there could be a counter on here for Leipzig. There's Henriks.
Need to capitalise.
Szoboszlai, he has Lima around the corner, but it's another poor ball. Szoboszlai gets on with it. Tries to put it through the legs of his own player there inadvertently, but Lima does well to get it back off Grealish. Henriks, Forsberg. Space opening up here for Leipzig. Here's Werner. Halstenberg looks to hook it in. Henriks is up, and it's a good header in the end, but not troubling Edison. That was a really good chance from Leipzig. Worked the ball really well, and it was the fullback, the substitute fullback in the end, who was making contact in the box, Connor.
Encouraging from Leipzig. This is the best period they've had in the game. First real opportunity they've created. Not the best header from Heinrichs, but I'm not sure the cross really set up well for it. It was more of a loopy cross. I think it was a cross that maybe needed a bit more power on it, so the header could be more powerful.
Yeah, I think Henriks done well to even make a connection with that, and was always looping up and over Edison's marble. Good showing here from Leipzig.
Encouraging.
They are looking quite resilient. But what I was talking about earlier, I'll finish it off, is do Manchester City essentially with Erling Haaland in the team, and maybe looking like the most prime version of Manchester City with the personnel that they have. Do you think this is their best chance of winning a Champions League, Conor Keenan?
It's hard to say. You would argue that maybe the second best team in Europe right now is Arsenal, and they're not even in the competition. Barcelona are out, and Manchester United aren't in the competition. I think the key this year's Champions League will be getting past Real Madrid, just a team that are just built for this competition. But they have as good a chance as any year. I think this City team maybe isn't as good as it was in previous years, and they just haven't been able to get over the line. But I think if Guardiola leaves the City setup without the Champions League winners medal, it'll feel like a missed opportunity.
Certainly, and shutting right off Leipzig too soon. Space over here for Henriks. Slides him in. Huge chance for Leipzig. What a miss from the fullback again. He's had 2 chances in a couple of minutes. The attackers for Leipzig look on, but it's the fullback again with a chance. Look at the space on the far side here, Conor Keenan. What an opportunity for Leipzig to level it up.
He's got to hit the target. He has to hit the target here, Andrew. It's such a good opportunity. He probably has time to even take a touch. He could go near post here with Ederson sprawling out. I get what he's trying to do here, trying to find the bottom corner, the side netting, but a huge chance for Heinrichs. But I mean, what a great substitution that was. 10 minutes in, and Leipzig look a different team to what they did in the first half. They're actually playing with a bit of confidence now.
Certainly, Connor. I mean, it took them 45 minutes in the first half to get their first chance of the game, and then they've got 2 huge chances. Maybe not so much the first one, but 2 very good chances in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. Huge chance for Henriks, the fullback again. Lovely feed from Bernardo Silva, but a combination of Leimer and Werner win it back here for Leipzig, who look like a resurgent team. Ball down here for Timo Werner. There could be a chance on. It's a huge challenge from Akanji. Werner's going to pull it in. Ederson with a big save. Forsberg was in waiting for a tap in. Really good goalkeeping from the Brazilian to get down in front of the cross.
See, this is what could have happened in the first half of Leipzig if they just kept the ball on those occasions when they just gave it away so easily. They build this confidence, and you can see this is a team that can beat Manchester City if they have the confidence this evening. Well done by Werner, running and being quick off that throw and creating the opportunity. I think if we a little more room there on the sideline, he could have pulled in a better cross, but obviously he was fighting the ball going out and playing for a goal kick.
Well, City not having it all their own way, and Leipzig starting to put some serious pressure on here. I mean, it was expected, Connor. We're at the Red Bull Arena. The atmosphere inside here is absolutely booming, and it was just a matter of time before the crowd got into the players' psyche and got them playing some football, because that first half display was atrocious from their standards this season. As Gundogan flicks it on here for Jack Grealish. Good defending from Leimer, and now Szoboszlai, who was really struggling this game to get any sort of involvement going, and he's giving it away rather cheaply there. Well, that's poor from Grealish. Silva does well to win it back. It's all getting a little bit scrappy in there at the moment from both sides. Akanji shifts it out here towards Kyle Walker. Mahrez into Silva. Man City just looking to play some key ball here to just calm things down a little bit. Somewhat put out that early press from RB Leipzig, who have made a very bright start to this second half. Mahrez running at Halstenberg. Had Walker on the overlap, chose to ignore him. Here is Grealish, 1v1 with Hendricks, Gundogan. Grealish shaping from across, goes for a pass into Rodri instead. City just probing here. Shades of the first half starting to creep in here. Here is Ake. Grealish. Switch of play from Rodri. And I mean, you just look at Leipzig's shape. They have stuck with the same sort of activity that they had in the first half. They're just biding their time, pressuring on the heavy touch from Manchester City, and not going to give it all. They don't want to gas out. They looked absolutely exhausted after 25-30 minutes in the first half. They're playing a lot more smart in their press and forcing City all the way back here to Edison.
What City will try and do, just sort of take the sting out of the game, take any momentum that Leipzig have built in this first 15 minutes or so of the first half, and just trying to extinguish that and get the game playing at their pace, the pace that they want, and the pace that they showed so much in the first half that allowed them to dominate.
Mahrez notches it on here for Gundogan out towards Grealish. And City gaining control again in terms of possession as it is of now. Still 1-0. We're still listening to commentary on the Sports Gazette. Follow us on all socials. We will be continuing our coverage of the Champions League. We're not too sure of what games we are announcing, and hopefully next time we'll have a little bit more of a better technical aptitude. Thanks for everyone who has tuned in to us this evening. All 2 viewers, whoever you are, we appreciate it so much. Any support on the Sports Gazette live comms is appreciated. If we just take a look at some of the stats here, I mean, in terms of distance covered, it's more or less even. Gundogan picks it up here, but I mean, it is those passes. City notching up, I mean, 250, 300 more passes than RB Leipzig. Timo Werner goes up against Kyle Walker. Good show of strength there from the German.
You're not going to beat Kyle Walker in a race, and Timo Werner was smart enough to realise that, turns back and recycles play.
Yeah, good stuff there from the former Chelsea man. Here's Forsberg into Leimer. Space opens up for Hendricks once again. He cuts in. Good defensive block here from Manchester City this time, as it's Leipzig starting to keep hold of the ball, but again they struggle. It's the captain Orban giving it away. Leimer's on Grealish like a shot. They win it back really, really well. Silva. Schlager now towards Halstenberg. Completely different second half this compared to the first. RB Leipzig look a lot more assured of themselves, a lot more confident. But still no goal. How costly with that Hendricks chance. Luck come the end of the 90s. He whips in a cross, no one waiting. Comes all the way to the back post to Halstenberg. Gets it in on his right. Good header away from Ruben Diaz as Andre Silva was lurking. Here is Haaland. Good defending from Guardiola. Haaland's up like a shot. Gundogan can put him through here. Really good defending from Schlager. He's looked a lot more improved in the second half too, as have Leipzig as a whole. Here's Werner. Here is Dominic Szoboszlai.
You got to be wary here, City, of respecting Leipzig too much. We can see them being allowed to pass the ball about, not only just into their own half, but all these little moves from Leipzig are just going to increase their confidence. And as we go into the last 30 minutes, they don't want this Leipzig side to sort of open up like they could not do in the first half.
Yeah, exactly, Connor. It's a very, very good point. And I think the key thing for Leipzig is, yes, they've had chances, yes, they've looked a lot better, but they need to start testing Ederson, which is the main thing. And here comes Andre Silva looking to do just that. Lovely feet. Silva dinks it over Ederson. Lovely save from the Brazilian. And just as we were mentioning a save coming from the big man, lovely set of feet there from Andre Silva to evade the attentions of Manuel Akanji, and then produced a little delicate chip, but Ederson was well up to it. Great chance, Connor.
You can just see them growing in confidence, I think. I'm not sure if the shot was the right option there for Andre Silva. We saw Forsberg in the middle there just sort of throw his hands up in frustration, but encouraging this from Leipzig. And you got to think back to the nature of the goal. We keep saying it. How disappointed would Gross be at the end of this game if it finishes 1-0? And Leipzig have performed like this, albeit not very well in the first half defensively, but it's been a really solid performance defensively.
Certainly indeed, Connor, and Marco Rose's frustrations will have certainly boiled over at half-time. Passiveness which Leipzig showed in that first half, and obviously surrendered such a poor goal, but that was mesmerising stuff from Andre Silva. Yeah, the shot probably wasn't the best option. He had options in the centre for the cross, but again, Leipzig slowly growing back into this game. City being asked to do a lot more defending in the second half, whereas compared to the first half, they were largely spectators from a defensive point of view. As Forsberg looks to get around Walker, lovely stuff, has Henriksen's support as always, flashes it across, and Nathan Ake blocks it away. Leipzig look resurgent here.
How good is James Forsberg on the right hand side? Just having such a different dimension going forward for Leipzig and actually threatening that right hand side.
Good news for RB Leipzig is that they've already made more passes in this half than in the entirety of the first 45 minutes. They're up on 148 passes for this second half. 65 minutes gone. And we're going to have the introduction of the anticipated Christopher Nkunku. Here he comes, Connor. This is a worry for Manchester City.
This is the trump card in a sense. Being out injured for a good 3 months now in Nkunku, but back, and it'll be interesting to see how attacking Leipzig go with this change. You would imagine it would be a straight swap for Andre Silva up front, but we shall see.
A couple of the front line will be looking over their shoulder of who's coming off here, but more than likely will be Andre Silva. Then again, Dominik Szoboszlai has not enjoyed a particularly good hour or so he could also be up for replacement as Halstenberg looks to get the line down here for Silva. So we just get confirmation the change is actually going to be Emil Forsberg that's coming off here, Connor, in replacement for Christopher Nkunku, and it's good to see him back. Such a talent, such a disappointment to see him miss out on France's World Cup campaign in Qatar. Maybe he could have made the difference. Maybe he could have been that attacking outlet that they needed to get the job done against Argentina.
Chelsea fans will be sitting forward in their seats now for the last 25 minutes, seeing their new export.
Always a strange one, Connor, isn't it? Seeing a player playing for a club in such a huge game in front of his home fans, but having already agreed a deal to go elsewhere in the summer, it's always a little bit of a strange one.
But this is what Leipzig do so well. They buy and sell so well. They buy low, sell high, and then we've seen with Timo Werner, if it doesn't work out, they just bring them back. And Timo Werner he's been in excellent form, and if another team comes into him and tries to buy him again, no doubt they'll get a pretty decent fee for him and certainly make a profit.
Certainly indeed. As we just see Hansi flicking the crowd there, doing some scouting on his German contingents down there on the pitch as they make preparations for European qualifiers. Germany, of course, enduring torrid World Cup campaign again. Knocked out in the group stages for 2 consecutive. This is lovely stuff from Leipzig though. Timo Werner gets it onto Silva. Huge challenge from Kyle Walker. How about that? Intricate stuff from RB Leipzig, and the ball from Andre Silva nearly fell back to him, but I mean that was a crucial intervention from Kyle Walker there, Connor. You just have to look at Leipzig in the second half. They've just been an absolutely completely different team and nearly got in there once again.
Just growing into the game by the minute here. City, at a time when at halftime they had to expect this sort of response. I think Nkunku is a bit frustrated there as they give the ball away, but they had to expect this sort of response from Leipzig for how tough they were.
Could be a chance on here for Erling Haaland. He's 1v1 with Josko Gvardiol. Haaland! This is never really looked too comfortable on his right foot. but he got in behind there, had Guardiola beaten for pace, but misses a really, really good chance. Grealish done well to get it out of his feet. You can see a referee played the advantage. And Haaland, not really that good on his right foot.
That's the first time we've really seen him go have a even half chance, but his change of pace is just remarkable. He's the perfect player to have on that sort of counter-attacking role. Obviously not his favourite right foot, but
Szoboszlai. Andre Silva looks to get it back to Dominic Szoboszlai. Might just hook it all the way back out here to Hendricks. Looks to burst in towards the Manchester City area. Schlager. Szoboszlai looks to cross it in. Good ball, but runs all the way in. Walker didn't really know what was over his shoulder there. Didn't get a shout from his goalkeeper or midfield and hooks it out for a corner. Shades of concern creeping into the Manchester City play here. First half, you reckon Walker chests that down and hits it back to Ederson, but Leipzig look resurgent and they look odds on here to get an equaliser.
But that's Walker's experience, right? And the first leg of a knockout Champions League game away from home, it's not worth making those risks.
Dominic Szoboszlai from range. Oh, what a save from Ederson. Look to catch the Brazilian out. What a stunning effort that is. Leipzig really, really turning up the pressure here at the moment. Halsummer looks to get it in. Horrible error from Ederson. He didn't come, and Josko Gvardiol has the free header. And RB Leipzig deservedly level 1-1. Just seen that Dominic Szoboszlai shot. It just put more and more pressure under Manchester City, who have not come out the blocks here in the second half. And I mean, that defending from the corner was so poor, and Josko Gvardiol pips in to get his first Champions League goal for RB Leipzig.
I mean, Guardiola will be furious from a set piece. And they've just been bullied. Ruben Diaz has been bullied. Ederson with a cross inside his 6-yard box, and it's a looping cross. He's in no man's land, Ederson. He's just completely caught underneath it. And this is what happens when you allow a team of Leipzig's quality to grow back into the game. There are questions of a foul. Has he used? I don't know. Has he used Diaz to aid his jump? I think that's just an amazing leap by Guardiola, and he just sort of puts his arm out and controls his jump with Diaz. Diaz stuck underneath the ball, Ederson stuck underneath the ball, and Leipzig have been flirting with the idea of getting back into this game, and now they have through that man Guardiola, and I think he's just added another €10 million onto his price tag in the summer.
100% indeed, Connor. He's shown that he's a goal-scoring centre half as well as a top defender. He's grabbed his second goal for Leipzig, and things looking a lot better now and a lot more rosy for Marco Rose and co. As RB Leipzig level it back up. But you could sense that this was coming. Manchester City being asked to do an awful lot more defending in this second half, and Leipzig's pressure has finally paid dividends. What a game we have on our hands now. And I mean, you touched on it, Connor. In domestic circumstances, Manchester City might sit on a 1-0 away to a team of lower quality away from home. They might just sit on a 1-0, pack up their bags and wait until the clock reaches 90. But against Champions League opposition, against the quality that RB Leipzig pose, it was never going to be as straightforward as that.
No, this Leipzig team has too much quality. Marco Rose is too good a manager. Experience. This is not his first rodeo in Europe. It's not Leipzig's first rodeo in Europe. And now they've got their best player fit back on the pitch. You can see the press. You can see how much this goal has just energized this team in the second half. They've come out a different side.
I apologise if you heard me giggling during Connor's description of the goal, but I mean, his description of bullying was absolutely perfect. I mean, Manchester City wanted a foul, but it was just dominant play from Josko Gvardiol up against Ruben Diaz, showing him who the real centre half of the Champions League. But that's lovely from Rodri to get Gundogan away, and Manchester City could be back in business here. Riyad Mahrez has options either side, breezes the attentions of Leimer, looks to get it in, and Halstenberg does really, really well on the recovery challenge there, as Manchester City's quick, frantic attack comes to a pretty abrupt end, and Leipzig cleared up the pitch, and Akanji can get back on the ball as we just gather our breath back. Amazing turnaround here from RB Leipzig.
The game's a lot more open now, a lot more entertaining. It's only taken 65 minutes, but we finally got a Leipzig team that have a bit of confidence, that can hold the ball for longer than 5 seconds like they had in the first half, and a City team that's a little rocked by this sort of comeback from Leipzig after the halftime interval.
Yeah, City need a reaction here, and maybe the goal will be that fuel to inspire it as Gundogan punches it out here towards Jack Grealish. Gets into the box. Gundogan! Good save! Really, really good stop that. Erling Haaland gets it out towards Bernardo Silva. Haaland looks to get it back in, cleared away by Hendricks. Manchester City back on the front foot. But it's a really good defending from Timo Werner. That was a huge save from Janusz Blažič to deny Ilkay Gundogan.
What a great save. This is a great opportunity for Gundogan, and he finds the corner with pace and power, and it's just a strong left hand. It's a little fortunate it doesn't fall for Haaland, but that's an excellent save. Really good save.
I think Conor, you'll agree, he does even better to keep it away from Haaland as well. He keeps it out, but he keeps it away from Haaland as well.
I mean, with a shot like that, it's not like you can pinpoint exactly where the ball's going to land, so he's done well to sort of parry it away from a potentially easy tap-in for the striker.
Stunning save from the goalkeeper, who is really given an opportunity based off the back of Gulashi's ACL injury that's kept him out for a prolonged period of time. That was a huge save. It would have been a huge sucker punch for RB Leipzig to stomach too, after such a strong showing here in the second half. Would you believe, Conor? I think, yes, Leipzig have pressed, and yes, they've created more chances, but they have 67% possession in this half, which is such a stark contrast from the first one. At one stage, Manchester City had 82 as they come forward again. Silva looks to flick it on to Gundogan. Schlager can get it away here. There might be a chance on for Timo Werner on the left-hand side. Silva's picked him out. Ball is not the best, as it just takes Timo Werner away from goal, and they just look to recycle it. Good chance on there for Leipzig there, Conor. Werner was in behind, and Walker didn't know he was up over the shoulder.
As mentioned, Werner's not going to win a race against Walker. So if you're going to hit in the clutcher like that, you might want to go to the other wing.
Szoboszlai and Hendricks looking to link up again down that right hand side. Interchange, but Grealish does well and then gives it away. Commentators curse. Thick and strong here this evening. Werner gets it all the way back towards Joshua Guardiola. As Leipzig look to just calm things down a bit. City so effective in the final third. Even though they have been largely ineffective in the second half, they can strike at any given opportunity. One chance truly illuminates that. Barring a stunning save from Blažič, it could easily be 2-1. But you would think, Conor, not to put you on the spot, that Marco Rose might take this one head to the Etihad.
100%, especially after they conceded the first goal. This was the sort of tie that it's the same with any underdog in a tie like this. They got to get the first goal in these two-legged ties and try and bring at least a little bit of hope into the second leg away from home. I think if this finishes 1-1, especially considering the setback in the first half, Russell will be more than happy. But I think there could be another goal in this game, and at this moment in time, it's a coin flip for which way it's going to go.
Certainly. I mean, it was such a one-sided first half. It's been a great game in this second. Really go either way, but this is what you expect from a Champions League knockout tie. Whether City expected it after scoring 45 minutes is another matter. Whether they expected the response from RB Leipzig or not is largely irrelevant. We're playing away from home in a Champions League knockout round. The comeback was always going to be on the cards. Joshua Guardiola has given them that. It is RB Leipzig 1, Manchester City 1. You are still listening to the Sports Gazette live commentary of the Champions League. Joined today by Conor Keenan instead of Lyle Anthony Golding, who is currently away on some business duties, as we'll say. Yes, he's out having some dinner. Priorities indeed.
But hey, I'm here with you, Andrew. We'll enjoy it. This is a good game now, second half.
Very, very good game indeed, Conor. I know where I'd rather be right now is Dominic Szoboszlai goes down rather easily on the ball. I think it was actually Andre Silva, I beg your pardon, but referee waves play on and then reverts his initial decision and gives the free kick. Did look like a free, Conor, yeah?
Look to me.
Yeah, just barge in the back there.
He's making the most of it, but it did look like a free kick in my opinion.
I think just take a look here at the goal. It's an outstanding leap from Joshua Guardiola.
You play in the NBA with a leap like that.
Really good. Maybe a few of the NBA boys will also be after him in the summer, but that is absolutely towering header. You can see Ederson gesturing to the referee that he's used his hands, but it's fair game. He's just using it as a little bit of leverage to get the height and to get that power on the header. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant response from RB Leipzig, and now we have a tie on our hands. We haven't seen that much activity from the bench for Manchester City as of yet either, Connor. Obviously there's no De Bruyne. Still Phil Foden's on the pitch. Even Rico Lewis could come on and offer a bit more of a fresh, energetic approach on that right hand side, but Pep keeping his cards close to his chest right now.
It's not the strongest City bench compared to what we've seen in recent years. Obviously Alvarez is on there as Grealish comes forward.
Grealish delving into the box, gets it on for Mahrez and looks to flick it on for Bernardo Silva, who does well to keep it. Silva with a shot blocked away. Szoboszlai coming back and doing some defensive work. So too Andre Silva. Here's Ake into Gundogan. Rodri picks it up. Chance on here for City perhaps. Falls to Halstenberg, and RB Leipzig could be away on the counter here. Timo Werner calling for handball. Referee not interested. He's kept his whistle away from his mouth a lot of occasions tonight, the referee. Overall has done quite a good job officiating the game. As we see some tired faces out there. I suppose that personifies what it's like to play against Manchester City. How much work you really have to put in to get a result. Schlager hooks it away towards Szoboszlai. RB Leipzig could be in here with Christopher Nkunku. Haven't seen much of him since he's come on. Change of direction from Nkunku, goes down. Referee again not interested. You have to love this from the referee, Connor. He's ignoring the players' protestations and flamboyant dives, just explaining, look, it's not a free. Get up, mate.
Let's see if there's any contact here. Nope.
Nope. VAR check. Yeah, top officiating there.
Sort of half-hearted appeals there from Marco Rose, even though he knew.
Leipzig coming forward once more.
Kyle Walker's been excellent on this right-hand side. Leipzig haven't had a sniff.
Yeah, most of Leipzig attacking talent is down that left-hand side, of course. Christopher Nkunku and Timo Werner have leaned out to that side a little bit more, but I mean, it looks strong for any part of the back line, as RB Leipzig are just going to prepare two changes here. It's going to be Yusuf Poulsen coming on alongside Amadou Haidara too. Some fresh legs here for RB Leipzig, but still no changes for Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. Rico Lewis on the bench, Phil Foden as we mentioned, Julian Alvarez there as well, and of course Calvin Phillips. Just get confirmation of those changes. So it's going to be Haidara in place of Schlager, who recovered well in the second half. Had a torrid affair in the first, done really well in the second. It's going to be Yusuf Poulsen to replace the Portuguese man Andre Silva. Good changes here for Leipzig, just to get some fresh legs for the last 10 minutes. And I mean, pretty positive changes from Marco Rose, like for like.
I think Poulsen will be a good aerial threat, especially in this last 10 minutes. We saw where the goal came from. It came from a set piece, and sort of the speed of Nkunku can now be brought out wide, and they can play the counter-attack. Poulsen is a speedy guy for a guy of his height and length.
Yeah, as the cliche goes, he can run for a big man, but Yusuf Poulsen, the Danish striker, loved by the RB Leipzig faithful, has spent 4 or 5 seasons at the club now, has over 50 goals in the Bundesliga for the white and red. has struggled to get into the team since the arrival of players such as Christopher Nkunku and Andre Silva. But still such a viable option off the bench, and as Conor alluded to, he is going to be vital in their hold-up play for these remaining 8 minutes plus whatever stoppage time we have added on by the referees. Kyle Walker looks to get Manchester City going in, but you can just see the applaud there from the RB Leipzig bench. They love that pressing from their side. 82 minutes gone and they're still full of energy here. Maybe I was getting misled by their facial exasperations. They look full of energy out there.
Oh, they're tired, but they're getting that sort of second gear, that second wind, as you'd say, from these Leipzig fans. And why wouldn't they? They deserve it in the second half. They've really responded well to what was a poor first half performance, and they were shell of themselves in the first half. They showed what they could do defensively, but going forward, they just could not get settled. They've had a good talking to from Marco Rose at halftime, and now they've come out and we've seen what Leipzig can actually do and what team they are, because they're only 4 points behind Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. These guys can win the Bundesliga. It would be an outside shout, but these guys are no walkovers.
Certainly indeed. And they've made a really good account of themselves. They've papered all the cracks that stemmed in that first half, and they've really put it up to Manchester City. And as it stands, it makes for a mouth-watering prospect in 3 weeks' time at the Etihad Stadium. In the inter game tonight, Inter Milan and FC Porto still 0-0. Tavio has just been sent off for FC Porto. Inter Milan failing to capitalise on their home advantage at the San Siro, so it's going to be a tricky away leg for them at the Dragao. As Erling Haaland goes up against Guardiola, who we have to say, Conor, has been exceptional up against their Erling Haaland. And Nkunku might be latching onto an error here from Akanji. Pulled back towards Timo Werner. Halstenberg looks to dink it in. He has Henriks arriving at the back post. I think Soboslai just kind of got in his way there. Conor, yeah, that was really poor from the Hungarian. Ake, Ronaldo chops it away, and Grealish and Poulsen exchange words. Grealish always a little bit of a narky sort of character on the pitch, always loves a little bit of a scrap or two. Often is painted as the innocent.
I think the referee's doing a good job here this evening. He hasn't had too much to comment on, but the small things he's got correct. Grealish has had a bit of a hot head the second half, and he's doing well to control the game. Just keep it simmering rather than boiling.
Maybe slightly too rough from Yusuf Poulsen. Jack Grealish certainly thought so. But I think Conor, Erling Haaland in particular, we have seen throughout the Premier League and throughout several other Champions League games that Haaland does not have a lot of touches but has a lot of goals. Tonight though, Josko Gvardiol has marshalled him so well. We just seen there a couple of moments Haaland looked to spin him in trademark Haaland fashion, and Gvardiol just got his body in the way, showed his strength, and won the ball back and distributed out to Halstenberg. He has been immense tonight, and I think maybe, as you said, 10 million might be added onto that price tag come the end of the season. As Ruben Diaz dishes it out here towards Nathan Ake. 5 minutes or so plus stoppage time to go. Is there a winner in this for someone? Or are both managers content with what they have and willing to go again for another 90 at the Etihad Stadium? Here's Kyle Walker. Rodri. Bernardo Silva. Grealish up against Henriks, who has been so good since he came on, and even more of an attacking fullback. He might have scored at least one of his 2 glorious chances, and maybe things could have been a little bit more rosy for RB Leipzig. But still, as it stands, they will be over the moon with the response that their team has shown in the second half, and fans can certainly be pleased with how much fight and how much spirit they've shown. As Lukaku has just put Inter Milan 1-0 ahead. Huge goal for him. Barren run in front of goal, both in an international and club context, but he scored a huge goal there for Inter Milan against the 10 men of Porto. It's Inter Milan 1, Porto 0 in the other tie this evening.
Who knows? He could be battling with Nkunku for a spot in the team next year in
Maybe.
City when he was, or with Chelsea rather, when he goes back.
So Chelsea acquire his outdated services, as it will. Lukaku, of course, not enjoying the best time at Chelsea when he was there. Mahrez is closed down by Halstenberg. But I think, Connor, what we have to realise is, yes, Marco Rose is happy with the draw and he might be able to take it, but City are notoriously so strong at the competition at home, so they will also be favouring the result as Marcel Halstenberg is coming off here for David Raum for the last 5 minutes or so.
I think if it finishes like this, Marco Rose will be the happier of the two managers. A good fight back from his team. They're going to be underdogs regardless when they go to this back to Manchester, so they've shown enough fight in the second half to show that they can potentially cause an upset when they head away in the second leg.
I mean, it has been all Leipzig in this second half. City have had a few chances on the break, but in terms of overall play, we mentioned that possession stats, 67% possession at one stage for Leipzig, when in the first they only had 20% possession at one stage. Gundogan with a nice turn. In a sense, as we go in, it's going to be a yellow card here for Henriks. For a rash challenge on Gundogan, it looked like. Just take a look at the replay here again. Yeah, lovely little Cruyff turn. And
I thought he got the ball.
it did look like a Connor, didn't it? Yeah, Gundogan. Yeah, Gundogan is rather impressively just takes it away from Henriks' foot as it arrived. Almost an unerring sense of foresight there from Gundogan to know that the challenge is coming, and he just pips it away from him last second and draws the foul. And City have a chance to get numbers in the box here. Of course, be sure to stick with us. After full time, we'll just have a quick 5-minute roundup of the Champions League fixtures. Of course, a damning defeat for Liverpool last night against Real Madrid. 2-0 up after 20 minutes and 5 goals for Real Madrid with no reply from the Anfield faithful. Unfortunately, we may need to scrap the full-time team analysis and other Champions League fixtures as my colleague needs to catch a train, which is understandable in these tough times as college students, as 2 minutes is added on here for the final exchanges or so. Leipzig rolling towards a very, very impressive draw here. Here is Haidara. Connor, in customary fashion, as our secondary commentator always does, I'm going to ask you for your Sports Gazette player of the match, please.
I'm going to go to Guardiola. The goal and just a really solid defensive performance by Leipzig. I'm not sure if you know much about the Manchester City goal that came through a mistake. I think the Leipzig defence have been really solid. They got to really lean on that in the second leg if they're going to have a chance to progress, which I believe they can.
Couldn't agree more. Josko Guardiola, Conor Keenan, Sports Gazette player of the match. It's just won another header up against Erling Haaland, and it does look like this game is going to be set at 1-1. What was a pretty tame and passive first half, it has transcended into a quite enthralling second game and makes for a very, very enticing prospect in 3 weeks' time. I think that might just be a corner here, Connor. Yeah, Connor and Leimer failing to keep it in after a poor clearance from Halstenberg. I think it was actually Haidara, I beg your pardon, but
this would be a sickener for Leipzig to concede after defending so well as Mahrez looks to whip it in.
Yeah, Mahrez over the corner here. I think last chance saloon here for Manchester City as Conrad Lammer barks out some words of inspiration. A couple of more seconds to go. Referee with some instructions about handbags being thrown around as Riyad Mahrez lines up this corner kick for Manchester City. Taking his time. Goes short in the end to Gundogan, who goes back to Mahrez. Hits it towards Rodri, hits the back of Hendricks, and Blažević can get down on it. I think that might be that. Hang on a second, Leipzig could be in here. It's Christopher Nkunku. Bernardo Silva and Walker do very, very well to crowd him out. And that is going to be the full-time whistle. You can see the frustration on Nkunku there. He thought Leipzig could have snatched it, but a very, very, very impressive recovery from RB Leipzig in the second half. Manchester City will be massively disappointed. They dominated the first half and their drop-off was quite drastic in the second. They completely bossed the ball and controlled the game with Mahrez opening the scoring, but RB Leipzig woke up after the break and spurned on by the Red Bull Arena fans. They put City under more and more pressure, and Josko Guardiola, the teenage sensation at centre half, rose highest in the box to beat Ruben Diaz and header in the equaliser to make for a mouth-watering prospect in 3 weeks' time at the Etihad Stadium. Conor Keenan, your final thoughts on the game?
It was a fun second half after what was a relatively dull first half. Leipzig sort of came out of their shell at halftime. That was a great team talk by Marco Rose at halftime, and it's going to set up well for the second leg.
Yeah, certainly indeed. Thank you very much for joining us once again, listening to the Sports Gazette Champions League live commentary. We'll be back with another fixture further down the line. Obviously, we have to try jostle education with the prospect of doing this commentary. But look, thank you very much for joining us once again. Bye-bye.